Hey guys, how are you? Welcome. I hope you're super well. I hope you're safe. I hope you're having a good time as much as you can, learning new things. Here we are, another episode of Coffee with Mirko. So, welcome, welcome all. Just grab yourself a cup of coffee, whether it's nighttime or morning. It's alright. I'm doing mine. And whilst I'm brewing my AeroPress, we will be talking about our next guest a little bit, and he'll do a better job introducing himself. Today we are gonna chat with Danny Andrade. I'll be back. I just got the hot water right here to wet the filter paper. So yeah, we have Danny Andrade. Danny Andrade is an amazing individual. I've seen him around because he's also a ACA judge during competitions, but he's also the 2018 Tea Brewer champion. So it's not coffee, but he's also a coffee roaster. So I'm really intrigued to ask him about his passion, connection between coffee, tea, farm, origin, judging, and all his passions. So really looking forward to it. It's a 3 out of 3 this week. This is a packed week. We're going to have a guest every single day, all the way to Sunday. And at the end of the episode, I'll tell you who's coming next. Today I decided not cap. It's a hair I don't care kind of day. Also because Danny has the most amazing hair, so we might talk about his hairstyle, because I'm aiming to grow my hair too, so he can teach me a thing or two. But without further ado, I'm gonna bring him on very soon. Today we're drinking still a Terruno Nayarita Mexican coffee by Gridlock Coffee Roasters. I got this at my local shop. It's a coffee roaster that it's sort of new to me. I haven't drunk too much of their coffees. It's pretty tasty though. I do love Mexican coffee. I think that lots of good origins are coming out of Mexico, and yeah, this is one of them. So I hope you guys are well. Hope you have a cup of coffee like myself. Otherwise the show wouldn't be called Coffee with Mirko. I like these sessions to be sort of like a communal table at a cafe, where we're having a professional from the coffee industry, like Danny, as well as a little bit myself. I've been in the industry for about 10 years, and we're all having a coffee together, talking coffee. You can ask questions. I like to keep a schedule of questions from myself, but here and there I can read yours, and towards the end, if there's a lot of Q&A, it's going to be an open Q&A. So stick around, especially if you got questions around roasting, competing, questions on the judge point of view, because Danny's also a judge in the competitions, as well as tea. I'm actually good, I enjoy a good cup of tea, so we'll talk about it with him, what it means to compete in a tea competition. And yeah, I hope that you've been enjoying the show. If you are, please tell your friends and family. I like this community to grow and see us going where we're going, because it's been fun. I've been really enjoying the conversations that we had so far, with lots of guests, lots of variety. So let's say hi to a few people. Hey YZ, Jay Brook, Chris, Kami, Ishin. Your fulfillment. I like that. It's all about fulfillment. I get you, Phil. And Puppies, Alzira, Unicorn Factory, and Danny. Danny's already here. Jay Brook just tuned in. What you got? Hey, Jay Brook. Today we go coffee-wise. This baby. It's a Mexican single origin, natural. And as far as guests, we got Danny Andrade, this amazing coffee professional who spread all his skills and talent across different areas, from judging to roasting, to work for a coffee company, like I believe still Zest, as well as tea. And I think that, tea is a very underestimated beverage. So he's a champion in brewing tea. So we're gonna ask the relation between tea and what he thinks. And as usual, open forum, open mic. We'll keep it casual. This is Coffee with Mirko. Grab yours and let's have some fun. Mine is nearly done. Here we go. Clean that later. I got coffee. I got you guys. We can get started real soon. Before I get Danny in, let me say hi to a few of you guys. Silvanok, Marildak, Israel, Mohammed, both three. Damn, some of these are difficult usernames. But without further ado, we'll add. Okay. I think I should have music, introduction music. Yeah, I think I should have music. Anyway, that's a different thought for another time. All right, we're waiting.
Hello. Hello.
Danny, what's
Hey,
up? How
how
are
are
you,
you?
buddy?
Very nice to meet you.
Good to meet you live online. First things first, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing awesome as usual. Always positive thoughts. Always drinking amazing coffee. Uh, and yeah, we lucky to be here in Australia. So yeah, I'm doing awesome.
Good to hear, man. Yeah, I think in Australia we're pretty lucky, and we should be grateful of the so far. Obviously, we respect the victims even in Australia, but in all scheme of things, we've been luckier than many other countries where unfortunately the death toll and cases are higher. So hopefully we can all in Australia get out of this in a quicker way. But yeah, look, we should be very grateful for the situation. So absolutely. Quick mention, man, I'm trying to grow my hair. So that's why I always wear the cap and the
Yeah,
beanie. Your hair are amazing. Like we all know
thank
your
you.
hair. It's like so. Danny, aside from your hair, which you can tell us many stories, I'm sure. Um, you know, my first question is usually the same. It's like, just tell us how you started your coffee, tea, judge, roasting journey, because, give us a little bit of
Yeah,
insight.
it's a long journey. I just go back a little bit before I start with
Please.
coffee. I start in the hospitality industry when I was 16, mostly because I need to help at home. I need to, put food at home, help my mom, help my brother and sisters. And so I started working in hospitality when I was 16. At the same time studying music, and I start really as waiter, and then my career went through behind the bar as
Mm,
a bartender, mixologist. So
gotcha.
my passion is hospitality. It was at first sight. The first day I work hospitality was something I thought, well, that's what I want to do. Even I was studying music. I was studying TAFE, mechanical engineer,
Yeah,
and my path just completely changed because of the hospitality industry. And then,
gotcha.
of course, my career went for a long time as a mixologist, as a bartender, which I loved so much. And before come to Australia, I have to save some money, and I decided to find another job. I used to work at night, of course, and then I found this amazing place which called Santo Grão in São Paulo. It was one of the first specialty coffee companies in São Paulo. And I remember from today, the first espresso I had, I was like, wow, this is incredible. I want to do this for my whole life. That point, my life in coffee, it just starts. So everything I I was thinking about, I was learning was coffee. So I want to, live coffee, breathe coffee, be with coffee all the time. And at the same time, I was saving money to leave Brazil to experience a different, different horizon, different culture. And at first, my idea was to go to Italy because my mom has a background in Italy. So I was getting my documents and everything to go to Italy to apply for my citizenship. And that got too complicated because Brazil is very hard in relation to this. And I decided to research what other place I could work in the coffee industry, learn different culture, and up my skills
Of
and
course.
connect with amazing people. And I end up coming to Australia. So from here from Australia, I work in many different areas. Well, so we can talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's amazing, and I do thank you for sharing that. I have a lot of respect because obviously we're so connected in this world, but we still sometimes forget that everyone has their story. We all have our own story, and I mean, Brazil has. I mean, I'm a big fan of Brazilian movies, for instance. My two favorite countries for foreign movies. This is true story.
Yeah,
Brazil and South Korea. But that's very far from coffee. But for me, like, even though it's just movies, I have a few, obviously, a few Brazilian friends, but it's hard, it's rough, and when you need to put food on the table, you do what you can.
hundred
I
percent.
think that in the Western countries, more than anything, that that doesn't really happen too often. Because there's a fear of judgment of like, oh, I'm just a waiter, but you're not really a waiter. You're providing for your family. So I think there is such a depth to it. It's just a title that people are catch themselves on. But thanks for sharing that. So obviously, and this is what I love most, and we get down to that later on about passion. But you talked about music. Then you talked about, coffee kind of found you, which is something that I've been reoccurring with more and more guests on the show. It's like you're not looking for coffee, coffee found you, which is a nice way to put it. So what did you do first in Australia as far as coffee go? I mean, obviously barista, or did you start from the ground up, I'm assuming?
Yeah, good question. In countries as South America or mostly South America, we come here, and most all of us we don't have English skill. Actually, I didn't speak at all, zero,
Same as me. Got you.
zero. So I but I have a purpose, I have a goal, I have a vision, and that was coffee, and that was learn a different culture. So I came here, and a lot of friends said, "Oh, maybe you can start as a cleaner, you know, find something like to start with." Um, Nothing wrong with that, but I have a purpose, and I wanna start straight with coffee. And I chased that. I looking for places they were looking for baristas. Even that time, I thought I was a barista, but I wasn't. So I'm a lucky guy. My wife always say to me, I'm a very lucky guy. I just was in the right time, right place, and I found the perfect job for that time, which was in the Queen Street Mall, just making coffee during the weekend, work as a bartender during the week, 20 hours a week, paying my bills, paying my food, and at the same time enjoy having fun because I had a lot of fun when I came here, right? So you party a lot, and then you
Of
meet a lot
course.
of people. You wanna learn as fast as you can to start communicate, and that was the beginning. From there, of course, he went to a long journey, as you know, as a barista, as a roaster, as a judge, as a competitor, and many others parts of the coffee chain. Which is, I set my mind just before come to Australia. I want to learn as much as I can in each part of the coffee chain.
Okay, so let's actually narrow it down because we kind of go into that direction, and I can jump off questions. Well, first of all, that was in Queensland to start
Queens,
with.
Queensland is one of the most popular restaurants in Queen Street Mall, Jim's on the Mall.
Cool.
Yep.
Obviously, you chose Queensland because you were like, look, I'm going from Brazil to Australia. I need the heat. I need the sun. I feel you. I know what you're saying. Okay, I see. So, you know, what's let's think big here. What's your framework? What's your ultimate goal? You know, let's just play here just to get a better understanding because you touch base on mixology, roasting, coffee, tea, music. Like, okay, let's just play for a second here and think big. What's your ultimate goal, I suppose?
My ultimate goal is communication, um, communication between the coffee industry itself. Working in different parts of the coffee chain, I realized the communication between us is it's lacking of depth and
Mm,
understanding from each other. So
mm,
I
mm,
think
mm.
that's my big thing, and of course, explore different experiences, which is always gonna add you as a coffee professional a value, and a big thing I have as Danny Andrade is inspire people, motivate people, also.
Cool. No, I'm just asking because there's a lot of passions, and sometimes we kind of get caught up into the what is going to make my livelihood, what's going to make my money. So I'm very passionate about this topic because I see a lot of people conditioned and a lot of people influenced. And this, I'm coming from a place of non-judgment. I grew up in a household in Italy where, it was all about getting a safe job. It's a small town in Italy, but it's still like, if you can get a good job in the city town, then you work there, you can build a family, you can look after yourself, it's safe, and you make XYZ, then you're gonna save 50-60% of that, and you keep saving. When you grow up, when you got that voice, from behind, it was like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's what I'm meant to do. But then I realized from a very young age that wasn't me, and it's like, but then that influenced me early stage of my 20s of like chasing more money. And then I understood that it wasn't about money. It was about passion, which for me is people and communications and social media talking and coffee industry take it along. And it's definitely influenced me. But the lucky thing, it was like both my parents, the other voice was like, as long as you're happy, we're happy. So I think it's great. So, all right. So when did you actually start roasting and what attracts you on that side? And what are you currently doing? Because I actually don't even know. Aside from judging and tea, I'm like, what
Uh,
does he actually do at the moment? Is it still a zest?
yeah, yeah. Actually, I never work at Zest. I know them
You are
very
like a
well.
consultant?
Nope,
Oh,
I'm just one of their coffee suppliers. Well,
uh-huh. Okay, because I was like, I thought it was a relationship there. I get you. I get you.
I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing at the moment,
Mm,
and I'm going back to your question, which was when I start roasting.
roast. Yeah.
So what I do nowadays, I work for coffee green bean supplier. It's called Three Brothers Coffee.
Okay.
We are specialized in coffee from Brazil, of course, only.
Of course.
I think I have a really good connection with the philosophy of the company, which is communication, relationship, coffee, share knowledge, education, all these just bind, the coffee industry together. So I really connect with Three Brothers, and
Yeah.
of course, it's from Brazil. It's kind of make me feel like I'm doing something for, I'm work towards something bigger because we are a team, right? So back to your question, I start roasting. I did my first roasting back home in Brazil in 2006 when I start work for Santo Grão. That was the first roasting, but not really roasting. When I came to Australia, after working in two different cafes, I started working in this place called Blue Sky Coffee, and I was the QC manager, head barista, and I was working together with the head roaster at that time, and he decided to leave. Another person started working as a roaster, and then he left as well, and then I ended up starting roasting for the company.
Gotcha. Okay. And basically, from there, you just went up because you also won. Well, you also started competing in the roasting. You got a couple of high spots in the Australian Championship. So, what's your strategy behind that? What's your style? What are you after as far as roasting goes? I had amazing conversation already with some roasters who, they all have their own way and of doing. What's your take on roasting where you're at now?
Just before talking about roasting competitions,
Please.
I did start competing as barista first in 2010. And my first competition as a roaster was in 2016, 17, right? My vision is I follow a purpose. I follow something bigger than just competition, just win. My win is succeed in life. I don't believe in like I compete to win. I compete to succeed. That's what I believe. And then your how can I say, your win, it's, as for me, it's just succeed in life or learn or collaborate. So I think for a coffee professional, you just want to connect to as much people as you can, meet people from the coffee industry, ask a question, be curious, experiment a lot, drink a lot of coffee, experiment different flavor in terms of not just coffee, so tea, wine, food. Develop your sensory skills, not just in coffee, because you get limited in terms of what you think pineapple in coffee tastes like. So you need to go and taste pineapple as a fruit, or as a dry fruit, or as pineapple as an underripe fruit, overripe fruit. So you need to create a vocabulary for you, and you need to experiment. So you taste, work hard, stay focused, ask questions, connect with people, that sort of stuff.
I really like that, and that's why another reason why I kind of, reached out to have you on the show is because I've been in coffee for a while, and everywhere I go, for competition, I saw you at the, South Regional recently, mice and all these competitions, and I see you in videos, pictures, you with Caleb, and all the others, and what I liked is that you don't seem to wear a flag, which is great. I like that, but also you kind of if you imagine a juggler, you're juggling a lot of balls at the same time, which is great. No, which is
Sometimes.
great. A lot of
Yeah.
people think, oh, you gotta master one, two. That's okay. But I think in life, sometimes you can juggle 12, 15. If 3, 4, 5, 6 fall because they fall out of your interest, or you're no longer into it, or you're no longer able to do a certain job, or hobby, or passion, or whatever it is, career, then you are all in the one or two that you actually want. For instance, I'm just playing here, but then, you might become, you might start a distillery that produces coffee only infused spirits, but then in the front you also have a cafe in the morning, but it's a bar at nighttime, and you also roast your own coffee. I don't know. Like, do you know what I'm saying? But if
Yeah.
you don't try, then you don't know. And that's what I
Yeah.
like.
Well, I think also everything is very linked. To be a better barista, you need to understand roasting, right? To be a better roaster, you need to understand farming and processing. So everything is linked to, as I said before, more you understand the whole picture, a better professional you're going to be. It's like I see the coffee industry as a dish, right? Where there's many hands to produce the beautiful dish. There's the farmer, is going to produce the raw material. There's someone is going to, let's say a pasta, is going to create that pasta, is going to build that pasta. That's you, you're going to cook. There's someone's going to build an oven for you to cook that pasta. Someone is going to create a plate. So I think the coffee industry is just like a dish. If you need to understand deep what you're doing, how can you improve things, you need to understand each part of the coffee chain. You need to get deep, understand, not like be specialist, but you need to study. You need to why ask question. Why I do this? Why I work in coffee industry? Why I compete? And then you have how I'm gonna fulfill my beliefs, and then what do I need to fulfill my beliefs to achieve my goals. So that's, I think it's very important for you to explore different experiences, and at the same time you meet and connect with amazing people, and you realize, of course, you sometimes you like to do something more than another, but if you understand what's behind something you do before get to you, I'm pretty sure you're gonna have a better result, and you're gonna have a better understand what you do.
Yeah, you obviously value a lot time efficiency as far as go in terms of investing in timing. And you remind me of one of the most amazing chefs that I worked with when I was front house barista manager. And he once, we were chatting, and he told me, he said, look, when I was young, what I did when I first came to Australia was, like, in the morning, I was doing, working at a breakfast place. I was like, okay, that's cool. Then lunchtime, I was going and cook lunch in a restaurant, like a fine dining restaurant with a certain type of cuisine. I was like, okay, that's cool. At night time, I would go to the third restaurant, which is fine dining, modern Australia, to cook dinner. He said, I was working 15, 16, 18 hours a day, but not for money. It was to speed up the process of learning. Then eventually, I've learned how to cook breakfast. I learned how to cook this. I learned how to cook that, all compressed. So then eventually he, doubled down into his passion and, catering, fine dining, catering, whatnot. But ultimately, the correlation with that is that time investment is essential as well, as far as learning quicker. Then, sure, you're a judge. You can taste tea, you can taste the pineapple, you can do roasting, eventually you might go and say, you know what, I put all my money on this, and that's okay, because whatever you've done in the past, it's still relevant because it got you to where you are today. So I appreciate what you're saying, 100%. And it's not common.
100%.
And it's not common. A lot of people, they're like, no, I want to be, I want to, and, I'm going to do the usual example. I want to be a football player, or soccer, as they call it here. And you can relate probably because Brazil and Italy, we love soccer. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but we love it. We got Pelé, Adriano, Roberto Carlos, you name it. But a lot of times kids are conditioned because to work in football, it's not just about become the next Ronaldo, become the next Neymar. It's about, hey, you can be a journalist, you can be a blogger, you can be a writer, you can be a commentator. I love those Brazilian commentators that they go, I can't even, the ones, you can be you can work as a physiotherapist or in the medical field, but still related to sports medicine, a dietitian. You can have a little shop outside the stadium selling jerseys. You can have 442 is one of the biggest soccer football pages on Instagram. It's like they just built that, and now they interview and have podcasts with famous players. So it's like, it's not just about one thing. So I appreciate what you're saying, because I think people should explore more professions and areas within the same industry.
Yeah, it's going to complement you as a coffee professional and as human being as well. It's not just 100%. About coffee or what you do. It's about like yourself, find a purpose, a vision for your life, and discover new things and meet amazing people. That's what about, our industry is beautiful. We have amazing people. As I said, we're very lucky in Australia as well. We have one of the most amazing baristas, roasters. We are lucky to import coffee from all over the world, taste everything. We are very lucky here, and I think we have the opportunity to explore and don't waste your time. I think you have to be curious, you have to go and you have to ask questions, you have to experiment, connect, and and be grateful, of course. Be grateful for what you do and what you love, and respect the industry, the people you work around, respect the coffee, respect yourself. I think it's a beautiful industry to be with.
I agree with you. And before I go on to the next question, hello Habib, a big shout out to all the Indonesian followers. I love you guys. Like, Indonesia is such a great country for coffee. Like, a lot of my followers are from Indonesia, and we go back on that community sense. I have a lot of people from Indonesian baristas reaching out, and it's beautiful to see how, and I hope that you guys are safe, because I know that with the virus in Indonesia is a little bit trickier at the moment. So, just saying hello to Habib and all the others, but I can't keep up. I agree, man. I think people should take value out of the things that we're saying now, and if they don't, and that's okay. It's complementing, and people make this industry, all these other areas that you're exploring, they just complement the final product of Danny Andrade as a person. That's it.
100%.
Really, 100%, So, okay. We're talking a lot on not even question, which is great. But only 60 minutes. That's great. All right. Where are we going? I got a few questions here. All right. So let's play here. Okay. So I'm actually very passionate about tea.
Yeah.
I'm not scared to say it in front of the crowds. Who cares? Like, I love tea. There's a shop in Melbourne, especially, that do a lot of good stuff. And the passion for tea was born because one of the owners of the cafe I used to work for was this Chinese man, and he once told me, boil some water. I say, yeah, I boiled it. Give me a cup. He sprinkled some silver needles. It was actually white. You know what that stuff is. And we started drinking, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, what the hell? Like, what is this? And he looks at me and he smiles and he says, well, this is such and such region, which of course I can't remember. And then he said, there are only 13 trees of this tea. That's why it cost this much per kilo. And I went like, what? So it's a whole world, you know. It's like tea is not just the big brands and English breakfast or just green or, you know, the usual stuff you long. Like tea is really, I put tea, coffee and cocoa in the same family, and wine. I think these four are huge in terms of our palates, how many flavors we can pick from tea or the others, are kind of in the same bag. So how did you start it into tea?
Look, as I said, I'm very curious and very passionate about flavors and find new things, right? But be very curious. You need to taste a lot of different things. Tea starts when I, of course, visit Asian countries. The first country I visited was Japan. And you know, when you have amazing tea, that's going to change your life as you have an amazing coffee, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to be curious, like, wow, this is crazy. So for me, the connection between coffee and tea is because we share the same industry, right? We share the same industry. Tea and coffee are the top two most people drink in the world. So people drink tea and drink. Actually, tea comes first, then coffee. Coffee is the second. So the consume of tea and coffee, they are top. They two tops in the world, and then you starting asking questions why, and then you start learning. You know, you order tea from a different place and start to understand. I think the tea helped me a lot to develop my palate very well, because it's very delicate flavors. And what about love tea is the aroma. Is the tea was found for emperor in China in 5,000 years ago, right? So it was something just happened, and the leaf just follow through his boiling water, and he's like, wow, this aroma is incredible, I'm gonna drink. So it was like something just happened, just like coffee, with the story, So tea, it's special. It's very similar to coffee in relation to farming practices, processing. They have flavor wheel as well. They have different flavor. We have tea flavor in coffee. We have, some of the same flavors in tea and coffee. You see so many competitors using 100%. Tea in competition. It's very linked. I think we share the same industry. Like we know, as a barista, you have, brewed tea before. When I talk about tea, it's like the Camellia sinus tea, not just, something like a herb. That's not tea. Real tea is like specialty coffee. It comes from 100%. A particular species. And then what I love about tea also is the ways processed, all different ways to process different types and all different ways to brew. So we are baby compared to coffee industry. It's a baby compared to tea, because they like much ahead in terms of culture, tradition, but I think we much ahead in terms of science and technology. Yeah. And the tea is still like very traditional, but of course there's a lot of people working to elevate that to like the coffee industry.
Yeah, I think no, you're right. And look, I was lucky to work at a shop where we were ordering 90 plus. And for everyone listening, we are actually getting Joseph from 90 Plus on the show in a couple of weeks, so that's going to be another interesting conversation. And I was drinking one of their coffees as a V60, and it was one of my first filter experiences. And back then, I used to drink a lot of tea. And for me, the jasmine flavor was like, that was something that I was very familiar with, because we don't have those flavors back home. In Italy, it's just like black tea with lemon or milk. That's all. That's it. And most is lemon anyway. So I developed the taste for jasmine. And as I was drinking this V60, I was super confused. Because like you said, we have tea flavors in coffee. And that's exactly what happened with that special coffee. And look, very expensive, but it was just drinking the cup of tea. But instead of being white, it was, it's not really brown, but it's like a light caramel color. And I was like, wow, this tastes like jasmine. So I 100% respect that. I think the difference is probably the major differences also as far as the ritual. I was lucky to experience a full Chinese tea ritual. I call it ritual because it felt like a ritual. It was like an experience. I was like, oh, wow, holy cow, like this is like full on, I think that tea has limitations as far as commercial goes. Of course, you got your bubble cups and more commercial, drinks and beverages. But with coffee in a cafe, you have a variety of items. So with tea, you can have a lot of single origins, same with coffee. But with tea, you're kind of restricted on what you can drink, because you are, but you're not. But with coffee, I feel it's more advanced because we got, all your items, flat white, espresso, cappuccino, and it keeps going up. And then you can do the cold drinks and all of it. With tea, you can, but you kind of can't. Like, it's like, I don't know if that makes sense to you. Like, there's a lot of options. You can make iced tea. I get it. You can make it with foam, and you can make it with sugar and play with it. But I think that on a commercial point of view, you go to a shop and usually it's like a lot of coffee items, and tea is just like, okay, what flavor do you want? It's not like, oh, how do you want me to make that tea? So I think that tea can grow in that regards as well, potentially.
That comes to culture. If you go to China and or visit tea farm, you're going to learn a lot of different worlds, a lot of different options in terms of flavor. I think the culture in Australia is more coffee. That's why we don't have that variety of teas. As I said, when I talk tea, I talk about like real tea, not just herbs.
Sorry. What I meant is like options as far as the beverage type. Not like flavors. Yeah, I get it. You can, it's about ordering 5, 6, 7. You could have a single origin. I mean, it's all single origin, but you can have single origin tea that changes every month, but it's going to be a tea.
Yeah.
Versus a coffee. Okay, I want that coffee, but then it's like, how do you want it? That's like, you got technology involved. Like, okay, it's going to be a manual brew. It's going to be through a machine. It's going to be with milk, without milk, extraction. There's a lot more, I guess, options. That's what I'm trying to say. In terms of flavors, you're right. Tea is there's so many flavors. I get you. It was more the type of beverages that you can make with that. That's all I was going with. Yeah.
Yes, more limited, of course, as far as compared to coffee. But you as far as you're talking about tea, specialty tea is very limited as a specialty coffee, right? Not everyone drinking specialty coffee, and when we're talking about coffee for blends, they specialty, but they on the low spectrum of specialty. To understand flavor, to understand the work behind the producer, the roaster, we're gonna drink a filter, we're gonna drink espresso, we're gonna drink that small coffee with milk. It's gonna give that experience. So it's of course tea is more limited, and of course the culture in relation to tea in Australia or in different countries, they're completely different.
100%. And look, I mean, like I said, you know, there's some shops here which are really good. There's like the expensive stuff and the seasonal different grades of matcha, and you got the oolong and white tea. And no, I get it. I think tea has a huge spectrum as far as flavor goes. It's like cupping, you know. It's like so many coffee to cup, and you know, you wouldn't drink 90 plus coffee as a flat white. I mean, some people do, but I personally wouldn't. I think, you know, absolutely. So I think what happens is our palate has so much potential when it comes to all beverages that we haven't even explored all of it. Even cocoa, I was reading somewhere there's like over 50,000 type of flavors, like something crazy that we haven't even started exploring with cocoa, you know. And cocoa, it's even lower in the spectrum as far as like specialty, because it's like there's a few places where they brew and do like a V60 with cocoa, and it's like amazing. It's a crazy experience. But you think chocolate, you think a bar of, you know, Lind or Cadbury or whatnot, or you know, a hot chocolate. So I get you. I get what you're saying. So I think that tea should be another area where it should be explored, and it has potential to grow as well in Australia. So tea, coffee, roasting, pallets. Because, geez, it's already, all right. What's next on Danny's planet for you? I know there's virus, but like, what's next on your planet?
Well, different projects. My main project is develop the company I work with for, because I feel like it's my company as well, because
That's correct.
every place I work for, and I feel like, you know, I belong, and I treat that place as mine. So my first project is development of communication between producer and roaster, barista, consumer. As I said, the communication sometimes it gets faded. So when we talk about communication, we know it's no ball, right? We say something to someone, after goes to from 20 people, that message is going to be completely different. So my project with Three Brothers Coffee is developed the coffee culture from Brazil overseas. For the producer's point of view, for them to understand the market is completely different, for example, in Asia, let's say in China and Australia, for example, where they have different culture, different palate, they eat different food compared to us. So, for example, over fermented coffee for them, it's incredible. Oh, it's an amazing experience. For us, it's not as clean. So the work I've been doing with Three Brothers is to understand the market and communicate back to the producers and to communicate that back to the roaster. So we are really, it's not very easy work to do, because we have miscommunication between us, between two roasters, or between roaster barista, right? I think that lack of communication, because we can connect with people, we can connect nowadays, we can connect, but we cannot, we sometimes don't communicate properly. Like that's what I see positive in today. What happened is the communication between people, because we are at home in quarantine. We start doing live chat, start sharing knowledge, you know, talking about your philosophy, your purpose, how you brew your coffee. So we start to communicate more. I think it's the positive thing about what's happening now is that communication. That's my big project, and of course developed as much as I can in Australia and in Brazil a better communication. And of course I have I'm a big fan and believer in processing methods. So I love processing methods. I actually finishing my plantation here at home with 16 trees. that was missing my that was missing my to close the cycle of what I learned in parts of the coffee industry I worked for, and it was just missing to own a coffee farm. It's very expensive. I can't. I'm just gonna do it at home, and I'm gonna have fun with that.
Makes sense. I think with communication, it's you set yourself a big challenge, which is good. I think a lot comes down to expectations. You know, owning a social media agency, which is communication is constant. Even in a simpler industry like social media, which is more simple than coffee, social media, it's all about what does the consumer or the audience want, create it, and produce it and distribute it. So it's actually simple, but it just changes by the minutes. What's the coolest platform? What's, you know, well, let's not get into that media conversation because that's, you know, kind of separate. But media and communication agency, because I know another guy who used to own a media agency where they will literally have a team and say, let's call a big company like, you know, Telstra or Qantas, like, okay, we want to understand what people are saying about us. So, you know, there will be huge reports on a monthly basis, and there's a huge amount of work and research and team effort. I think communication with farms is like, it's next level, which is cool. It's cool that you're setting up yourself such a high challenge, for sure, because I think, you know, you got the language barrier, but then you also have a language barrier between coffee shops. You know, you walk down the street and it's like, you go to 10 shops, you talk to 10 different owners, and they're all going to tell you 10 different things what they want out of coffee. You know, one's like, oh, I want a better price, or, oh, I want better training, or I want it more punchy. No, man, it's too punchy. I don't want it bitter. I want it sweet. You know how it is because there's such a variety of flavors and so many components. And then, you know, it's like, then you hop on a plane and you come to Melbourne. It's like, you go to another 10 shops and you're like, oh my God. So, but I think communication is extremely important, especially, and it's easier, I'm asking and saying this, between straight from roaster to farm, because then it's like, at least you kind of removing, you know, when you say 50 people from 1 to 50 and the message changes, at least there it's like, you know, once you understand what one roaster wants and what language the farmer is speaking in terms of coffee language, at least you only got 2 elements, which is still, you can have miscommunication between 2 people, but I think you kind of dissection the process for sure.
Yeah, and you're gonna have those people, like for example, Three Brothers Coffee. We really focus in relationship coffee and people. So we sometimes you need someone, you know, to connect those people, because as I said, it's a beautiful industry, but the communication is not very strong. And as you said, you're going to have different cafes looking for different things. That's amazing, because when you think about production in a coffee farm, let's say in a really good coffee farm, healthy trees, 70% of that production, it's going to be the coffee for your blend. Not a high grade coffee.
For sure.
You're going to have commodity coffee in any farm in the world, unless, you know, the percentage is going to change, but the way the farm works, or if they towards to just produce high quality, the cost is going to go up. So I think 99% of the coffee producers, they work towards to that particular part of the coffee thing where let's say the volume goes, which is our flat white or latte or cappuccino.
Of course. Yeah. The what I was thinking also is like how are you going to manage? It's a big question in terms of time, and I know you're a busy man, but especially if you got 16 coffee trees in the backyard. But because like what I would find very interesting on how you're going to overcome the challenge of seasonal pickers, because I was talking to Rubens a couple of days ago, and he was talking about his project in Uganda and his major challenge about communication. And if he's listening or watching this, he'll find interesting your answer is that he also wants the pickers to pick the cherries in a certain way based on his final result that he wants to achieve. But the problem that he's facing with that is that every season the pickers change. Some of them maybe not, but then it's like, because then it's not just a communication between the two continents, it's also communication between the owner of the farm or the head picker to train and communicate with the seasonal pickers and workers to say, okay, this is how we're going to do it this year.
Yeah, that's a really hard work to do. First of all, I would say you need to believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, people believe in you. 100%. And also you need to work with people, they believe what you believe. That's a big good start. Or you need to really work hard to explain in a simple way, how the coffee industry is out there. And then people, they're going to make choices. It's not really easy job to do. I think everyone working towards different purpose or different dreams. But in terms of pickers, in terms of farmers, they always like to follow tradition as well. 90% of the coffee farms in Brazil, I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to follow that tradition. And you can find a customer for that particular farm. You can 100%. Find. So I think you need to find in each category what the farmer or where the producer or where the roaster, where the barista, it's in the coffee industry or in the what's their dreams and what they want to achieve. So I think there will be many different types of relationships. Not all relationships is going to be the same. You're going to achieve amazing results in one farm. You're going to achieve medium results in a farm as long as you're collaborating and then you improving people's lives, improving coffee quality, give back to the industry.
100%.
You're happy.
Man, I think that's a beautiful way to close it. I mean, and we go back to what you shared in the beginning and what I'm passionate about, which comes down to people, whether it's, especially coffee, but tea, coffee, that's really the common, that common factor that defines us, the connection between now that you and I have created, and next time that you come down to Melbourne, I come up to Queensland, we kind of catch up and have a cup of coffee in real life, and sharing information and knowledge. And it's just people make most industry, okay, fair enough. But I think people truly make the coffee industry and the tea industry to a different level, because from the tree all the way to the cup, because the farmer talks to the pickers talk to the farmer talks to the grain bean buyer, the grain bean buyer talks to the roaster. I don't need to go all the way to the chain, but basically there's always people involved. So it's beautiful. So thank you for sharing that.
Really, really hard work. I think it's when we all understand this in a different angle, because you need to be out to understand. I think the coffee industry is going to be much better for everyone and fair.
That's even that's a hard way. Thanks, Danny. I mean, unfortunately, Instagram will probably pop up soon. The 30 seconds countdown. Here it is, 29. Thank you. I'm super, super grateful that you came on board. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
I hope things go well in Queensland soon, and we'll be able to catch up and meet very soon, man. Thank you very much for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
No
We should do
worries.
this
And,
again in a couple of weeks.
just to finalize here, teamwork, it's what leads to success. And my wife